We're going to get started on the 335 kit. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching another video in our series about the StewMac 335 style guitar kit. The first video, a lot of people were like, hey, all you guys did was talk and you didn't do anything, and you talked about your box cutter. Yeah, but today we're actually going to open the box, pull some stuff out, and we're going to get started on the project in earnest. So, last time we talked, I told you guys that it seemed to me like it was about an hour worth of project to get everything ready and get the neck glued in. Some of you mistook that for it's about an hour to put it all together. I think if you go back and watch the video, I said you've got about an hour worth of time to get this neck ready to glue into the body. Get everything fitted here. I did say I wanted to reshape this this neck a little bit, and I want to do something with the headstock shape here. I'm going to put that open book notch in that, the mustache, as it were. Now, in the instruction sheet, gang, there's a bunch of stuff about exactly what I'm talking about. You know, how you can use your the tools that you have at home, or tools that you had to borrow, or tools you went to Home Depot and bought to shape the headstock in. If you wanted to leave the neck as is, you certainly could, but I kind of want to make it a little rounder. So that's what we're going to do this morning. I'm going to kind of recontour the neck a little bit. I'm going to get it fit to the body, but before I glue it in, I'm going to give it off to Chris, and he's going to put UV pore filler on everything. And the reason that we're going to be using UV pore filler and not smearing stain on it, and Chris is going to get into this more, the reason we're going to be using UV pore filler is we want to get, well, all the pores filled so that we can seal up the body and spray it with translucent colors to make the sunburst, or whatever color Chris is going to use depending on how cool this maple veneer looks. One thing we are absolutely, positively, definitely not going to do is sand this at all. One, it doesn't need to be sanded. Two, if you start grinding on this with any sort of abrasive, you run the risk of burning through the veneer. But I'm going to let Chris talk more about that as we go. I'm in charge of doing the neck. So let's get into the wood shop and I'll show you what tools I'm going to use and how I'm going to do it. In the last video, I told you guys that I had about an hour worth of time before we were ready to glue the neck in. It is now 1:20 in the afternoon. I'm going to show you guys what time it is when I'm done, and if I do it in an hour or less, you guys owe me lunch at Popeyes. So what I want to do is I kind of want to reshape the neck, reprofile the back of the neck first, and then we're going to work on the headstock. So one of my favorite little things is these tools from StewMac. They're neck profile kind of guides, and what they are is they'll let you know what shape the neck is supposed to be, and let you put your neck on there and show you kind of what it's looking like. So this is one for a 59 Les Paul. They have a bunch of them, different guitars and things like that. And of course, when you get that old, you're just talking about like an approximation of what you're using. I don't know if they have one for a 335. If they do, I don't have it. We're going to use this 59 Les Paul one. So as you can see, we're going to put this on at the first fret, or right in that neighborhood. See how we're slightly different? What I want to do is actually grind meat off of this part of the neck and this part of the neck. And you can see we'll go down to see down here, it's exactly the same. We're not going to change the thickness. We're just going to change the shoulder profile, which I think will be pretty snazzy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start on this side, or on the first fret end, and I'm going to start on the 11th fret end. I'm going to try and grind those down and match my jig. Mm-hmm. See? So this is the area where I'm going to work, and I'm only going to do from about right here to about right here, and I just want to grind this patch down. I'm going to get a rasp and just kind of start working it. I know where I need to focus. constantly check. See, that's actually looking quite a bit better already, and I have hardly done anything. Now, I can't imagine that if you do this, you're not going to void the warranty. For the kit, right? But if you're gonna do it, why not? All right, I'm really, really getting close now. That's looking pretty good, you guys. It didn't take much, you know what I mean? And you can feel a difference already. It feels round. Here it feels like there's a corner and then a bump. Now it feels round. It feels like a guitar neck should. Okay? And when we're doing classes, I often tell people, you know what a guitar neck should feel like. If your guitar doesn't feel like that, then you need to keep working on your neck profile. Okay? And we're just about there. I think that's going to do it. In fact, I think that is about as close as I want to get. I'm going to sand more later. So now I'm going to go to my 11th fret and do the exact same thing. You can't flip the neck around on the sled here. And yeah, exactly in the same spot. And guys, if you get one of these kits, you'll be able to feel it. You won't have to use the profile jig to see it. You'll be able to feel it. And again, I'm only going to go this patch right here. What I'm going to do after I get my nut end done and my 11th fret end done is I'm going to connect them so that my neck is consistent all the way down. I don't know how much you can alter the shape of the neck without burning through to the truss rod because I didn't put the truss rod in. My advice to you would be to not touch this top bit at all if you decide to do this. You can see I still haven't actually gotten to the top yet because my pencil line is still there. That's looking way better. That's feeling a zillion times better. Again, I'm feeling for kind of a smooth, consistent arch, not a bunch of facets, okay? So now that I've got my 1st fret and my 11th fret area done, I'm gonna mark where I worked with some guide lines, and I'm going to go over to my deadhead sander, and I'm going to make all of this stuff match all of this stuff.
How would you do it if you didn't have a deadhead sander?
I would keep doing it exactly like I've been doing it, but you can actually replace this with a sanding block, and you can get close all the way down, and then you can sand with a block. What you don't want to do is put a big dish in there, or a small dish down here and a small dish down here and a big hump right here. Just take your time, use an abrasive that you feel comfortable with, and yeah. You know what? Hell with it. Let's just do it that way. You guys may not have a deadhead sander at your house. Right, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Didn't mean to do that.
Well. Now that I've got, since I've got two pieces that I'm just going to connect, it's actually pretty easy. My 60 grit paper on a block, and I'm going to work it back and forth like this. What I'm not going to do is take my paper and do like this, okay? That doesn't ensure that I'm working my project evenly. Right? When we get to the ends here, I like to kind of work the transition area with a foam pad. I don't know where one is. So guys, be real careful with this 60 grit, because it is made to remove material. We're also getting out all the file scratches, which is cool. And you always want to be checking to make sure that you're not putting in that flat spot that we had before. You know what I mean? Your thumb will tell you, especially if you don't look at the neck, your thumb and your fingers will tell you if you have a weird flat spot that you don't want. Okay, that's pretty good with the 60. Now let's move through the grits, because we have to move through the grits. You don't want to skip any grits. Okay, so we want to keep all the 60 over here. Now we're switching to 80. Remember when I said we're going to use 60, 80, and 150? We're actually going to use 60, 80, 120, 150, 220. Because that's the way to do it right. Okay? And what we want to do is get rid of all these scratches so that when we give it to Chris, he has something good to work with. Okay, so our 80's going to still keep removing material, so we're far from the polishing wood phase here. This feels so much better, you guys. And I think when you get your kits, you might want to do this. You might go, you know what, man? I'm perfectly happy with this neck. I don't want to mess with it at all. And I say, good on you. You don't have to mess with it. But if I didn't mess with it, you might say, and in fact, some people in the comment section of the previous video did, in fact, say things like, well, this seems a little like you guys are taking a step backward. And I don't want you guys to think that. I want this to really be a video where, you know what I mean, you can look at the way Chris and I would do this if this were our guitar. And I know I'm going fast. I know I'm moving with alacrity and swiftness. But I've done this a couple times before, so I assure you I am not moving with haste. Okay? All right, that's it. We're done with 80. Let's take a look at the 220, or I'm sorry, the 120. And as we go, it's going to get a little bit better, a little bit smoother each time, and we're going to lessen the amount of material that we're taking off. Ah, that hurts. So we're going to be worried less about changing or altering the shape of the neck, and we're going to be more concerned with eliminating scratches and tool marks from the previous abrasive grit. Huh, Chris?
Yep.
Yup. Are you excited to get on to paint?
Boy, am I.
The paint phase? That answer did not resonate with me like you really were excited.
Well, I only get to do four filler today, so. And then because we have a class next week, starting tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is going to sit for at least a week.
Crap, I have a bunch more sanding that I get to do on the other stuff after I shape the headstock. Why are you making this hard for me to edit and just letting it run?
What do you want me to do?
Well, it's too late now.
Well, usually when I shut it off, you're like, don't just let it run. Let me ask you a question. Before you answer,
Okay.
let me answer for you.
All right, go ahead.
I'm doing it the way you asked me to do it.
Okay.
Just let it run this whole time. This is only 9 minutes of sanding.
Really?
Yeah.
Feels like it's about 900 minutes of sanding. This is the most hand sanding I've done in years. Okay, gang. Now we're down to the 220 grit, and I'm going to forego the block, the full-size block, because all I'm doing at this point is just smoothing everything out, getting rid of 150 grit sanding scratches. Okay. I'm not going to say you can't reprofile the neck with 220, but for the amount of sanding that I'm going to put into it, it's going to be really tricky. All right. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see how close we came to our 59 Les Paul. Can you guys see that? Can you zoom in on that, Chris? Mm-hmm. So if you remember how much light we could see before, and now we can hardly see any. Okay? So I think that looks pretty good. Whoop.
Put it back. Put it back on there real quick.
Okay.
Quit dropping tools and put it back on there.
Not too shabby. And we're probably quite a bit closer on this end too, and we are. Okay? We didn't get it exactly right, but it feels way better. Plus, I only play right here, so I don't worry about that. Okay. So now, let's put the little mustache in here, and then we'll sand that down and give it to Chris.
Okay.
Can you see what's happening here?
Okay.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grind this headstock down to more closely resemble this headstock here, because we can. So I'm just going to line it up, and it's actually removing a lot more material than you guys might think. And again, you don't have to remove all of this stuff, but I'm gonna, because it's my neck and I can do whatever I want, and I think it'll look pretty cool. I have a couple of these different ones, and they're both pretty similar. Okay, you could just kind of come in here, you know, but I think I'm gonna go with the this more traditional. Well, I don't know how traditional it is, but I might even grind a little bit off this end here so it doesn't splay out quite as much. But we're going to do that over on our oscillating spindle sander. There we go, that looks pretty decent. So I think I'm going to go back and attack the edge that I just did with 150 and get everything nice and smooth. All right, that looks pretty decent, you guys. Now I'm going to take a file and file this little piece in. Maybe I'll actually do some of this on the bandsaw real quick. Now I'll get in there with my file and clean it up. Hope you got that on camera.
I did.
So I got one of my favorite files here. It's a paint stick with sandpaper glued to it. So I'm going to keep these guys nice and round. And looking good. And you'll have something that looks a little bit like that. You'll get to make your own favorite file at your house. But that's what we're going for, something not unlike that. I'm gonna clean this up with some sandpaper by hand. This is probably 180 I'm sorry, this is probably 80 or 100. I'll clean this up all the way down to 220 and then we'll give it off to Chris. Okay, Chris, I think I've got the neck shaped a little better and I know I got the headstock shaped. What do you think? Can you tell the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot more C-shaped. Plus I watched you the whole time.
That's true. To look ready to receive pore filler?
I think we ought to hit it with a little more sandpaper right there. There's a couple of file marks right there.
Oh, are there? Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Other than that.
Quick, let's get it because I'm on a time frame.
You are on
here.
a time crunch.
Yeah, that's right.
See 'em?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, gang, that's about all the sanding that I'm gonna do. And it is now 2:01. So it's about 41 minutes worth of time for me to reshape this neck and do this headstock. Now again, I've done a couple of them before. So, you know, when you do it, it might take you more or less time, but it's not a race. It's just getting it to look good. And I think this looks good. And I'm gonna hand this off to Chris. He's gonna do some pore filler.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, guys. So the next step is we are going to pore fill the body and the neck. And I know I said that we are not going to sand this, and we're not going to sand it because we don't want to sand through this veneer. We're going to do, I'm pretty sure we're going to do some sort of sunburst translucent so we can see the flame top. That's part of this kit. I think they actually call it the fancy flame top. Have fun building a kit. Anyway, yeah, there's the word flame is in there. So, but I am going to Scotch-Brite it real quick, just to get any little fuzzies or stuff like that off it.
Sometimes just handling the body, right? You can raise the grain a little.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that veneer or any of the wood on this guitar so far has any kind of sealer on it already, Chris?
Somebody mentioned that it had something on it, but I don't think it does. It feels like raw wood, but what I think happens is that the glue that they use to glue the veneer down can seep through the veneer so that it won't take stain evenly, because glue doesn't like to take stain. And we're not going to stain it. We're going to we're going to seal it, and then we're going to do translucent color on top of the sealed wood so that it comes out nice and even.
By the way, it even says in the handbook, don't put stain directly on the wood.
Does it? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't get that far in the book, but I do know that when StewMac sells you the finishing kit for this, there's no stain.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm gonna hit the neck here real quick too.
What do you think of that neck, dude?
Oh, it's nice. I think you did a fine job, Matt, and I think it was worth the 41 minutes of time.
Yeah, I think so too.
That
includes the headstock shaping too, by the way.
It does, yeah. Yep. Yeah, you were 25 minutes into it when you were done with the contouring of the neck. It's got a plain maple cap too on the
Yeah, we should probably leave that
that.
show a little bit, huh?
Yep, I think so. Alrighty.
Okay.
Alright, so now we're ready to start our pore filling. I'm going to pore fill the neck first. And I like to mask off the fingerboard because we're not going to pore fill it. And it's easy to not get pore filler on it, but it's not easy to handle the neck. At some point you got to touch the fingerboard with your glove that's probably going to end up covered in pore filler. So I'm just going to mask this off real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so we got that masked off. Now it's time to pore fill. This is Simtex 59x1 UV Cure pore filler.
It's pretty neat stuff.
It's really neat stuff. I like to wear rubber gloves so that my hands don't end up smelling like this stuff.
Somebody asked in the Texas Toast Facebook page if anyone knew if the SimTech stuff would activate if you walked out into the sun, or if you put it out in the sun. And
As I understand, it will eventually go off.
I was reminded of talking with Mike at SimTech, who said, make sure you don't get any on your hands and then walk outside, because
Yes.
it'll kick eventually.
It will eventually, kick. I'm not sure how fast it will do that. Okay, so I don't want to get any on the parts that we're going to glue together. Okay?
All right.
And this stuff is, it's not just a wipe on, it's kind of a rub it in application, especially on porous wood. So it's a rub it in, wipe it off the excess. This is going to get covered with that little white cap, or the cream cap that matches the binding, so I'm not going to do that part either. I don't think there's any reason to do that. Okay. And it's okay to get it on the binding.
That's a pretty cool looking, pretty cool little neck there.
Uh-huh. One of the neat things about the pore filler too is you'll be able to see some of the character of the wood. Wait till we do this cap on the front.
Yeah, that should pop pretty good.
Yep,
Huh?
there it goes.
There she goes.
There she goes.
Now this isn't finished, right, Chris?
Correct. Yeah, this is designed to soak into the wood a little bit and stop future coats of stuff from soaking in. That's all we're looking for it to do. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Davey. Alright. Now we're going to wipe it off.
So are you smearing it into the pores, do you think, or is it already in? Like, how does
I think it's already probably soaked into the pores.
Okay. I have often wondered about that. I'm not asking that for the sake of the video.
Yeah, and you don't want to leave a bunch of this stuff proud, because you just have to sand it off.
Because it'll turn into a little rock.
Yeah, it is actually. It gets pretty hard. I know people love it when I say things like that. Mm-hmm. We'll hit it with the light until it gets hard. And this is why I have the thing masked off. Did you turn it off?
Nope, that was my phone.
Oh, okay. And then Q-tip to get it out of any place you don't want it, because it'll turn into a little brick in there too, and then you get to sand it out or drill it out. Nobody wants that.
I tell you, man, I think this UV stuff really altered the way that we do workshops and things, and it's perfect for kits like this, I think.
Yep, it sure is. All right, now I'm going to go take this and hang it up in the spray booth. I'll be back.
So the top has more of a figure than the back and sides. The back and sides look good.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but the top is the part that's got a bunch of figure to it.
It's the money maker.
Uh-huh. And you can kind of see, maybe you can see, it's not soaking into the maple like it does the mahogany. It's because the maple is a much harder wood.
Have you given any thought to masking the F-hole area, Chris? Or are you just going to paint over them?
Oh, when we do
because they're bound, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have given some thought to it, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do just yet. But I would like to obviously keep the bound F-hole look.
Oh, okay. All right, so you didn't sand this body at all.
Correct.
And how does it feel after you're
It actually
wiping
feels
this
pretty
stuff on
good. It
there.
felt pretty good before I Scotch Brighted it.
Mm-hmm.
Scotch brought it. But it's pretty smooth. And we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna Scotch Brite this stuff back before we start doing sealer. And I didn't see, I mean, because it's a veneer, so it's not like it was scratched
Yeah.
with
Yeah, you don't put a veneer on and then start grinding
grinding on it. Yeah. So this is gonna be the hot setup for sure. And I want to be careful. I don't want to glob a bunch of this stuff in to the F-holes and all of that.
Yeah, I think that people get ahead of themselves when they start sanding on these kits. And the idea is that you shouldn't have to sand it much or at all, because the veneer is it's not sanded. It's cut like on a giant pencil sharpener. For those of you old enough to remember a pencil sharpener, it's a great big slice. So yeah, you don't want to sand it because it's very, very thin. It's like a piece of paper. It's like a piece of construction paper anyway. It's probably about 19 thousandths or 20 thousandths thick. So yeah, the notion of sanding this is fraught with peril, and you don't want to do it.
Nope. I've heard everybody that I've ever heard of that did a kit like this comments on I sanded through the veneer, so I had to paint it a solid color, or I had to rethink what I was going to do. Be careful.
Yeah.
So rather than be careful, I'm just not going to do.
I think that's a terrific idea. Yeah.
I'm going to be so careful. I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
So this was a little harder to see where I was. The mahogany, it soaks in and it gets really dark. This gets slightly darker. So I'm making sure that I got everything. Okay.
Looks good from here.
Yeah, I think we're good.
So same thing, you're just going to wipe the stuff off now?
Yep.
And then go back with a Q-tip or
Then I'll
something?
go back with a Q-tip. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably wipe this down a couple times. The first time we used this stuff, we used some of Steve's, and we just glopped it on and left it like that.
Yeah, that was
and then we got to sand, which
operator,
I don't want to do.
Operator error. Yeah,
I don't want to sand. I don't want sandpaper to touch this until the first coat, or all of the sealer coats are on.
Yeah. And that'll just be to level the sealer. We won't get to the wood at all, of course.
Correct.
Cool. Well, we'll come back when you're ready to UV coat.
All right.
You're going.
Okay. Can you see, or is it just going to be my ass in the way?
No, I think we can see. Here, we can.
Gotta let it warm up a little more.
You want to talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm going to use the UV light, the UV cure light. You have to be completely covered up because UV is a carcinogen. And I got to wear this fun little shield. And it takes a couple minutes per thing to do it. It's pretty darn easy. So here we go. You have to get every single surface that you got stuff on. Every different direction. Okay. Grab it. got the top of it. I don't know what I did. Nick. Alright. I'm going to take off this tape and I UV that edge because it'll be sticky. Okay, so our UV is completely cured. You just saw that. And now I'm going to go back and just give it a quick little rub down with some Scotch-Brite just to get rid of if there's any little high spots or whatever, and it also starts to smooth it out. But it feels pretty smooth, doesn't it?
From here it does.
You felt it. Matt was over here touching it a minute ago. Did you turn it off?
Nope.
Boy, he sure can Scotch-Brite. Look at him go.
Well, I don't know what you're...
Yeah, so this thing in a minute will be ready for glue up and then sealer.
So what again does the pour filler do, Chris, and why did we do it instead of smearing stain all over the wood?
So what it does, it soaks into the pores of the wood and stops sealer or whatever finishes we're going to start putting on top of it from soaking in. Everything will sit on top.
So all the colors and everything will sit on top. Nothing will be glopped directly onto the wood.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, everything from now on is going to be sprayed on. And whether you were using, like StewMac standing sealer, or we're going to use UV cure sealer, it all comes out of a spray gun. Or if you use lacquer type products, you could use it out of a spray can.